We all have those stories from when we were kids, right? The ones that are just burned into our memory. But what if I told you that some of those stories aren't just stories at all? What if they're actually carefully built warnings designed to stay with us our entire lives? Well, today we're going to dissect one of the most famous ones out there.
Yeah, this. This single, simple idea is the whole reason the story of Little Red Riding Hood even exists. It's not just the moral at the end, it's the engine driving the entire narrative. In this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly how this one warning got spun into such a timeless and honestly a pretty scary tale.
So, first up, let's meet our hero. She's this sweet, universally loved little girl. So much so that her grandmother actually made her this beautiful bright red cloak with a hood. And, well, she wore it everywhere, so everyone just started calling her Little Red Riding Hood. And that's not just some cute detail. It becomes her whole identity in the story. Okay, so the story really kicks off when her mom gives her a very straightforward mission. Her grandmother's feeling sick, and she needs to take her a basket of goodies to help her feel better. A simple act of kindness. But this mission comes with some very, very specific rules. Now look, these aren't just helpful tips. Her mother is laying down the absolute fundamental rules for survival here. Go straight there, don't stray from the path, and the big one, do not stop to talk to strangers. The entire story is now perfectly set up for every single one of these rules to be broken. So of course, as she's walking through the woods, on that path she's supposed to stick to, who does she meet? A stranger. And not just any stranger, but this really charming, kinda sly wolf who just, strikes up a friendly conversation. This is it. This is the test. And here we go. This is the moment everything pivots. The rule couldn't have been more clear. It was a direct order from her mom. But the wolf, he's smooth. And in her innocence, she doesn't just talk to him, she tells him everything. She tells him she's on her way to her grandmother's house. And just like that, the trap is set. So now the wolf has all the information he needs, and his predatory instincts just click into gear. He's smart. He bolts ahead, takes a shortcut, gets to grandma's house first, tricks her, and swallows her whole. Then he puts on her nightgown and cap, crawls into her bed, and just waits. The stage is now set for one of the most famous scenes in all of folklore. So Little Red Riding Hood gets there, and right away she knows something's off. You can feel her confusion in that first question. She's still so innocent, she's trying to make it make sense, but that first little seed of doubt, it's definitely been planted. And the wolf's reply is just so chilling. It's almost playful, But there's this menace bubbling right under the surface, and it just pulls her and us deeper and deeper into the trap. And the famous back and forth keeps going, building this really creepy rhythm. She's still asking, still trying to connect the dots between the grandmother she loves and this thing that's lying in the bed. Each question just makes that knot of suspense a little bit tighter. He answers again, keeping the act going. And we all know where this is heading, right? That's what makes it so brilliant. The suspense isn't about if the truth will come out, it's about when. And that slow, deliberate buildup is just everything. And there it is, the last question. The final piece of the puzzle that she clicks into place just a second too late. You can almost hear her voice shake as she asks it, as the awful reality of her situation finally dawns on her. Boom. The rhythm is completely shattered. The game is over. The wolf lunges, and his true nature is revealed in the most horrifying way possible. All that pretense of being a sweet old grandma is gone. Now it's just the predator. But just as the wolf is about to swallow her, a woodsman happens to be passing by and hears the screams. He bursts in, and in this version of the story, he saves the day. He cuts the wolf open, and miraculously out pops Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. Totally fine. The danger's gone, but the lesson is just sinking in. So, what's the resolution? Well, everyone's safe. The bad guy is gone. But the most important part is what happens next. Little Red Riding Hood makes a promise. She will never, ever stray from the path or talk to a stranger again. The story brings us right back full circle to the original rule. This whole structure, the rule being given, the rule being broken, and the terrifying consequences that follow, this makes Little Red Riding Hood the absolute perfect example of a cautionary tale. Every single thing we just went through was put there for one reason, to hammer home a very specific warning. And that really leaves us with a pretty cool question to chew on, doesn't it? This story used a talking wolf and a dark forest to teach a lesson about listening to your parents in